All right, welcome back to part 2. Now, if you are following the bee pattern from those that were in my class, you will continue on doing your second row of the same alternative color that you have chosen. But since I have a teaching yellow yarn, which is a smaller weight than my brown yarn, I'm only going to do one row of brown, and I'm going to go ahead and switch colors. So I'm going back to the yellow, if I can grab it. I'm doing this through the camera. All right, so I'm going to pull it through. I'm going to tighten the brown. I'm going to chain one with my new color. And then I'm going to continue doing 21 of yellow all the way around. And I will meet you back when I get to the end. All right, we are back at the end. I'm going to do a single crochet into that last stitch, slip stitch into that first chain, or single crochet that we made, not into the chain. Slip stitch it, chain one. I'm going to continue doing one more row of yellow so it will equal the size of this brown, and I will meet you back at the end of this row. All right, I am back at the end of my yellow. So single crochet, slip stitch into the first, single crochet the previous row, and now I'm going to switch my colors back to my alternative color. For me, that is brown. Try not to get the other tail in there. Got to move that aside. Then we're going to tighten the yellow, and then continue with the chain one and doing the brown all the way across for 21 stitches. I gotta fix that. All right, and then I will continue on, and I will meet you at the end of this row. I am at the last stitch of my darker color. So now I'm going to slip knot and tie these together. So this is where you're going to fasten off and cut off the dark color because you won't need it anymore, and then we are going to fasten on the eyes. When I put the eyes on any of my plushies, including my bees, that side that we're chaining one and slip stitching each of the rows together, I put that on the bottom of my animal, and in this case it's a bee. And I generally like to put my eyes between rows 2 and 3 on equal sides. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So I'm going to put my eyes right here. Now my eyes for this is going to look gigantic. I want my eyes, I think, placed a little bit higher. Looks so goofy. My poor bee is spooked. And then we're going to turn inside out, and then with the safety eyes, you're just going to put those on the backs and snap them in, just like so. All right, so now we're going to go back to our yellow color. All right, so we're going to switch back to our yellow color. So take it through that, tighten that brown, chain one with the yellow, and then this time we're going to decrease. So single crochet, and we're going to decrease on the third. And I apologize for all the noise in the back. My cat just saw a woodpecker come down the tree and thought that was a really fun thing to chase. So 1, 2, skip that third, and decrease. So we're basically doing a single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, and repeating that pattern all the way around. And I'll show you another decrease row on camera. It's just really hard to see with the darker ones where your stitches are and what we are skipping. All right, I am coming up on the last part of that row. So single crochet, slip stitching into the first, single crochet the previous row, chaining 1, but before I continue on this next row, I am going to stuff the fluff inside the bee. Magically stuffed with fluff. Now we're going to start our next decreasing row because we're coming to the end of the bee and we need it to shrink down. So we are going to single crochet. We're going to skip that chain and crochet into the next chain stitch. Single crochet that closed. Do that again. Single crochet and skip and go into the next stitch. So this one we're doing a single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease, all the way to the end. Single crochet, and decrease, single crochet. Now we're going to slip stitch, and now we're going to want to close. So what I do instead of using a sewing needle is I slip stitch into every other chain or stitch that is on that row. Let me show you, because it will begin to close up the hole. So there's no yarn over with a slip stitch. I'm simply stabbing, grabbing, and pulling through. Stabbing, grabbing, and pulling through. Stabbing, grabbing, and pulling through. Now we cut this off and we will fasten off. All right, and now we will begin our weaving in the ends. There's no rhyme or reason to it. We'll just do this until you feel comfortable with it staying in place. You have completed your bee body and we will start the wings. Now all of you in the class did come with pre-made wings, but I will show you how you do it. So we're going to slip knot just like we did at the beginning of the bee. And you're always welcome to look at other videos of how people slip knot. There's multiple ways to do it. So I'm going to do a chain 4, just so you can see the center of the circle better. I generally just chain 3 and get that tail out of the way. Slip stitch. Now we're going to do 6 single crochets into the center. So I just chained 1, going through the center, 2, going through the center, 3, stab, grab, yarn over, pull through. Okay, and then 6. I may have done 7 on this one. I wasn't counting. And then we're going to slip stitch that together and then fasten off. And then we're going to do that 2 times so you have 2 wings. 1 wing off camera, but I typically put the wings in between the 2 dark stripes. And then I just kind of sew them in. And then do a little knot on the wing. We're running out of time. I'm trying to finish this. So it's just 2 parts. Haha. And then there you go. I have a derpy wing, derpy bee, but you know, hey, you get the idea.